Welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 55. I'm Andrew.
Adam.
Patrick.
Alright, before we get started here, I'd like you to check us out at meeplesonmeeples.com. Also come over to our Facebook, our YouTube, Twitter, and
Pinterest.
I think we got a Pinterest.
For all you ladies.
I'm not sure why, but yeah. Alright, so today we played Renaissance Man.
Renaissance Man is a pretty intense but pretty quick worker placement game. Now, unlike other worker placement games where it's all based on meeples, this worker placement game is all based on the cards that you have. At the beginning of the game, everybody has their own player mat. Now, the player mat actually is what you build around. It doesn't really give you the rules. It gives you kind of the build that you have to create. And the object, as you can see on the player mat, is to make a pyramid. Now, you make the pyramid based upon the cards you have in your hand. At the beginning of the game, you have a set of 5 cards. There's a baker, a Renaissance man, a scholar, a merchant, and a knight. And if you notice at the top of each one of these cards, there's a special symbol. The baker's symbol is barter. What he allows you to do on that round, if he is not covered up, is to expend a card from your hand, that'll get you in a second, for one of these chits. And these chits allow you to take actions later on in the game. The Renaissance man is a wild card. He doesn't do anything for you. He doesn't give you any special actions, but you can build upon him with no extra cost. He's a quick build. The scholar allows you to discard a card from your hand, and instead of putting it down here for extra actions, you put it up at the top of your game board. And what that allows you to do is once you get all of the little icons up here at the top of your game board, you get a Renaissance man or one of those wild cards that you can place anywhere on the pyramid and build from free.
And you have to place them as soon as
you have to place them. As soon as you get that, it wipes it out, and then you can start building another Renaissance man. The merchant is what allows you to hire somebody. With the merchant card, if you have a card in your hand that matches the symbols on the cards that you've placed before, that I'll show you in just a second, you can then just place them on your map, and that's how you build your pyramid. And the knight is a special card in that if your hand sucks and you can't do anything, you're not out of the game. If you have a knight that's uncovered, you can use his special action, again, discard a card from your hand, and the icon at the top of your card tells what card on the main board that you can bid for. At each turn, there's 4 cards in the main board, and if there's one that you want, you can use your knight, and you have to match this up. So if I want this card right here, I use my knight's special ability, discard the knight, place my little meeple on that space, and hopefully I will get him at the end of the round.
That's how you recruit more
That's how you recruit more workers
recruit board.
if you don't have a hand that works for you.
Exactly.
Now, more than one person can try to bid for one card, and you can use your as many knights as you have working your way up. Whoever has the most knights at the end of the round gets the card. Now, how do you build? Well, when you build, you want to match cards up here. If you notice at the base of my card, I have 2 symbols. On this one, I have a gold and a book. So on my turn, if I have a merchant that's uncovered, I can place this guy right here, and that now brings me up to level 2. They have to match the cards that you're overlapping. Once 2 cards are overlapped, you can't use their special ability anymore. So you have to build very carefully, very strategically, because if you cover up all of your merchants, unless you have a Renaissance man, you're kind of stuck on building your pyramid. So you have to place these strategically. On each round, you have 4 lines. Each line is an action. As long as you have a card that is open on the action, you can take an action or take an action. For example, on action 1, everybody starts with 4 cards.
5 cards.
Or 5 cards, I'm sorry. Then you proceed to action 2. You only get to take an action on action 2 if you have cards in the action 2 line.
Or if you have one of the free tokens at the bottom.
If you have a free token, you can use it any time. Action 3, again, you can only take an action if you have open cards, action 4, etc. And by taking these actions and utilizing the special symbols on top of the cards, you're trying to build all the way up until you are the one that has a complete pyramid created, and you lay the final card down, creating your pyramid.
Called the master cards.
Called the master card. The first person who gets all of this by utilizing the symbols and placing their cards strategically wins the game.
It's a little more in depth than that, but that's the kind of the quick rules for it. It seems very complex, I think, when you first get into it.
It's extremely simple.
But once you start playing, it's supposed to be a very fast pace. You all play simultaneously. It's no going around taking turns.
Everyone takes action. Everyone takes one action on level 1 at the same time, and then it moves up to level 2. If anyone has one, you take it the same time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the fast rules.
It almost moves too fast at first.
Once
you get the hang of it, and then it...
Why don't we jump into components then, where we normally go?
Okay, components.
Can I start off?
Absolutely.
I love this game. Has a combination of things that we just rave about usually. It has player boards that are interlocking pieces. I mean, come on.
And that allows you to have a small box, but some really cool player
These
boards.
developers obviously have been watching our reviews.
Yes.
They made this game for
and
us.
the player boards are really nice.
They are double-sided, so no matter how you want to put it in front of you, you can build your pyramid on this side
Both sides are the same.
or this side, exactly the same.
Yep.
But
And
if you're left-handed or right-handed, it kind of plays off that.
They're high quality, and they have a spot for everything. Obviously, they have a spot to build your pyramid. They have the spot for where you're going to place your chits at. They have a spot for keeping track of what action you're on. It's
The
just
chits
really
themselves are good, good quality cardboard, and the cards, good plastic coated cards. These are cards that you could even shuffle without really. I mean, you don't want to do it too often, but without really having to sleeve them and utilize them for a while.
Getting into the artwork, there's not a lot here, but what's actually impressive is the drawings are actually pretty good. I mean, they're pretty limited, but I mean, it's obviously somebody, they're hand drawn. You can see they've kind of fit I think the time period they're supposed to be pretty well. Even like the art on the player boards themselves is pretty good. It's got kind of be like a wood placard that you're playing.
I know
with.
Ian's not here. Colorblind list, not an issue.
No, it's all symbols.
The symbols
Exactly.
the symbols are clear. Even the small ones at the bottom, they're easy. They're not alike. They're not close to each other.
No.
You can very easily. When I have this, I know what I can do. And also, the Renaissance Man is the back of each card, so you don't have to have a separate deck of cards to use your Renaissance Man. You just use the back of the
And
card.
again, to save on space, they did double-sided chits. They don't have the same thing on either side, so instead of having a billion of each type, they just have kind of randomly double-sided chits that you can just.
Because
have a
at
small
any
pile
time
to
you
use.
can only have what?
You can have a max of
16
8
out on the
on
board?
on your board.
Or what's it?
There's gonna be 24 total.
Yeah.
Or
So-
no, it's 32 total. Sorry.
Rule cards, fantastic. Every player has a set of
Everybody
rule
gets
cards. One tells you the rules, and one tells you what each of the little symbols does when you use them for an action. Can't get any easier than that. And the benefit of it is, doesn't matter what side you play it on. Again, they're double-sided, so if you just slap them down in front of you, they're ready
And
to
the
go.
beauty, this thing comes in, because of I think the interlocking pieces and everything, comes in such a nice small box, very transportable, easy to get around. I mean, it's the only thing that the chits are kind of.
The chits are good. The player pieces, and we only had one problem. Everybody gets meeples to place on this board.
It's 4 knights.
For knights to place on the board to lay claim to cards to use that action. But for some reason, a couple of our knights are skinnier than the others.
Yeah.
It looks like they have a little diet on some of them. That's getting a little picky. I mean, that's kind of being picky about it.
They serve their purpose, and I mean, in our games, the knights didn't come into.
Couple times they
Maybe
did.
we're just not big into bidding. We didn't use them a whole lot because that's what they're used for. You just put them out, you build up knights.
I
and you
think
can bid on
that
them.
maybe we didn't use that because it wasn't cards that we needed.
Yeah,
that's.
we had some pretty bad flops.
Yeah.
So
But I mean,
that's
the components are just really
yeah,
good.
I think that's good for components.
How about strategy on this one for you guys?
Wow, this is one of those games that actually every time I got cards or every time I laid I had to think 3 steps ahead.
Oh, yeah.
If I lay this card down, I'm going to block my merchants. I won't be able to lay another card down. Can I get? And you really have to switch in the middle. Based upon the cards you have is how you build your pyramid. So really, you have to stop.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
think,
you're
what
building.
do I want to do next?
You're building off of 3 things. You're building off the 4 cards in your hand or more, because you're gonna have more than 4 cards. You're building off of what's in the recruit pile, and you're also building off of your pyramid. So you're taking into account
and also what everyone
a
else
lot of different places, and to a certain extent, what everybody else might be going for.
because I have to watch it. The top of your pyramid, like we were down to 4. Me and Andrew and I, I'm sorry, we're on to level 4 at the last round.
Hey, I was there too.
Yeah. Well, you weren't at 4, but I had to watch his card because I had the card that I could play, and I had to watch his card though and make sure there was nothing out there that he could purchase to give him the win. So you do have to be kind of ready to snipe.
There's
a
a
card.
little bit of a bonus that you can destruct your pyramid. You can take guys off
That's true.
to open up availability. If you jump the gun and you're like, oh sweet, and you
I'm
lay
gonna
that down,
hire.
you're not exactly stuck with it forever if you don't want it.
Like in this case, you don't have a higher ability. You can then discard this guy, and you can discard it any time. As long as there's no card on top of them, you can just take them off the pyramid and open up, for instance, the merchant again in this case.
and give you another shot.
Exactly.
Granted,
So
it does bring you back down, but at the same time, it could be a huge
I think this
bonus
last game
depending
we all
on
did
what's
it.
in your hand.
I mean, yeah, if you get to a certain point, like this would be bread. There's
Your
not a
balls.
lot of cards like that, so you are probably gonna have to pull back and you have to rethink your thing.
The
But
Or you
only
could-
bonus part is that with the bread, if you get a merchant in your hand, you can trade it in for
A gold coin that you can use at a later
Sure,
time.
I mean-
So, and that's the other thing I like about this game in strategy is if you get hosed on a strategy and you were going well and all of a sudden you realize you backed yourself into a corner and you'd have to deconstruct many layers, there are other options, such as discarding cards to get special action tokens that do the same things that the cards allow you to do. So there's never a point where you're totally stuck.
This game has so many options that I don't think you can ever get to a point where it's going to be, I think, a total blowout.
No.
I mean, at the first game, I was way behind you guys. By the time we got to the win at the end, we were all up to level 4.
Mm-hmm.
We at least had one card on level 4.
Both games, it ended with, I think, everybody having this last game, everyone had 2 cards on level 4, and it just came down to which one of you or I were going to play that first card that round.
It was literally... He had it because he had one more turn, and I just drew the card that I needed. And if he hadn't had that, I would have won the next round.
So I mean, you have so many options strategy-wise in this game, and a lot to keep track of. That I think it's just it keeps it a very close, competitive game. I mean, you're never gonna have somebody unless they kind of get. Like in our first game, luckily we were all on the same page. Kind of behind, not knowing how the rules work so well, but. As long as everybody else has played it a few times, it's going to be one of those where, okay, the strategy isn't working, I'm going to ditch it, I'm going to go this way. And you can.
But even if it is your first time, I think it's balanced.
It felt almost like you were racing against yourself, but racing against the other people is to not just get to the top, but you're going, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, and you're just kind of scrambling to get everything in place.
Yeah, strategies will change on the moment, but really my biggest strategy was think several steps ahead. Look at the cards that you have and think several steps ahead and hold on to cards that you can trade out later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just got to keep track of what's going out on all the cards out there. I mean, if you're one of those people that can kind of multitask and keep track of a lot of different points going on the board, not just yours, I mean, you'll be at a benefit. But I think it's just a great game. I mean, as far as strategy goes, it leaves a lot of options. You can play it at how you want to and kind of try to build up your pyramid.
Let's do likes and dislikes then.
I will beat a dead horse and say that the components in this are awesome. I mean, it's a simple game. There's a couple pieces of cardboard and cards, but they didn't skimp on anything.
And they didn't add anything you didn't need.
Right. Oh yeah, and like with the chits, love it. And the weird thing is that this one has a bread and a knight on it. Well, this one has bread and a book on it. I mean,
they were very economical in how they did everything.
Yeah, so obviously they thought this through of how many you would need because they're not the exact same on both sides. So.
Not to like you said, keep beating on a dead horse here, but they gave me a cloth bag. I don't even know what the heck this thing is for.
Well, that's to put these in to keep it track.
It's just like a free cloth bag. It's not even mentioned in the rule book. I love it though.
It's to put these in at the end, but it's great. My part like about this is this is gonna sound stupid and silly, but as simple and as easy as this game is, we were always in action with each other. Mm-hmm. There was no downtime for anybody. And I felt like I was beating against a clock. I mean, at the end, my heart was beating like, everyone's at 4. When's my next piece coming in? I mean, my mind was going on strategies. There's a time where I couldn't grow at all. I was just stuck. And I had to keep thinking, how am I going to get my way out of it? And I love that those games that keep me involved, keep my heart racing, thinking I'm behind on this. And it sounds stupid that happened for this simple game, but it really drew me in.
I agree with you, though, because you pull 4 cards in your hand, and you're hoping to get exactly what you need, and then as soon as you don't, you're going,
what do I do now?
Yeah, how do I deal and how do I work with this?
And because everybody goes simultaneously, I mean, I think if you have 4 experienced players playing this game, it's gonna be one of those fast-paced. Everybody, okay, I got 4 cards I can't do anything with. I need to switch to another strategy, and then they'll call out the first action of that round. You just have to be ready to go, and everybody acts at the same time, so you got to keep track of what you're doing, watch them. It's just a very intense, but like you said, fun. Like it's
weird that it's intense though. That's what has my mind just stuck on this. Is as simple as a card game this is. It was an intense play. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds silly, but it really kept me involved, and it was pretty intense.
It's just, I think it's a well done game. I mean, we weren't going back to the rule book is
It is
really simple. It's like 3-4 pages, I think.
Well, and on top of that, you have these cards,
which give you almost everything from the rule book.
I literally, our first game, I kind of looked at them a couple times, and then a few games after that, I could have just tossed them to the side. You don't need them, and once you learn it, it's quick and easy.
Yeah, that's what I like. I mean, the rules are very simple, straightforward. Once you get into it, you'll be able to play it pretty well. I don't know what else I can really say about likes and dislikes other than it's intense and fun.
right. Let's go rating. Our rating scale is pretty simple. A scale of 1 to 10. 1 meaning don't buy it. Matter of fact, if you do buy it or you know somebody that has it, use it to start a barbecue. A 10 means awesome.
Manhattan Project? Is that? Sorry.
We still have to review that. People aren't going to like us on that one. A 10 would be a fantastic game. You should go out and buy it. So we'll start with you, Andrew.
Honestly, at first when everything laid out, I went, great. I just kind of sat back in my chair like, this is it. That's all you get. There's a bunch of cards. There's a few pieces. And then, obviously I'm a sucker for interlocking pieces, even though there's not much to interlock, but it's still. Once we played through it quite a few times, and it just has that intense feel and that fun. And I mean, you could play this 2 or 3 times in a row, and I don't think you would get extremely bored with it.
And it's really short.
I mean, yeah, and the box says, 30 minutes?
30 minutes, yeah.
And I think even the first time we played it and we were learning it, it only took us like 40 minutes. So it was a super quick blow. I'm going to throw a 9 at it because it was just that much fun. If it came out, once a week, once every 2 weeks, I wouldn't have an issue playing it because it is a quick game. It's quick setup, quick teardown. 9, solid 9.
Yeah, that's surprising. I'm actually gonna give this a 9 too, which shocks me. I really did not think I would like this game. I saw the components. I'm like, it's a card game. We've done several card games recently. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of burned out and bummed out on card games, and it's a worker placement. How much fun! This really shocked me, and I think that really raises the score for me. That a game this simple and this easy can actually get me that drawn in and get me to try to beat the clock. So with all the likes I have on it and the nice components that it has for what it is, I do give this a 9.
Did we mention it has interlocking player boards? I mean, come on.
Double-sided too.
Double-sided. I'm actually right with you guys. I'm going to give this game a 9. I think when we first got it and we first kind of looked at it, we're like, I don't know. It's such a small box. There's really not a lot to it. I hadn't heard a whole lot about it. It is just a lot of fun. It's fast-paced. The rules just work. It's not one of those where you're going to be going back and looking at the rule book. As we said, beating a dead horse. Components are just amazing. I think what I like about it the most, what puts it at a 9 for me, is it's one of those, it's not only a quick play, but your strategy is going to be different every game. I mean, it's not one of those where you can come in, you're going to have a set strategy, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It's one of those where you have to adapt on the fly. It's always going to be different. And when you throw in different personalities, that's going to affect it too. So you get new people to the table, it's going to be just a completely different play every single time. I just loved it. It was a lot of fun. And it was, like you said, intense, but it wasn't one of those games where it was really intense and I just felt like I just needed to unwind at the end of it. It was one of those where it was intense and I wanted to play it again. It was just a lot of fun. So 9s across the board.
Well, there you have it. And if you tune in next week, we'll have another video for you to watch.